Thank you so much for joining us for the MSN, MBA, and Nursing Administration Virtual Information Session. My name is Tom Crash. I'm our Director of Graduate Admissions, and I'll be hosting the event tonight with Dr. Metzger, who we're going to meet here in just a moment. The live part of the event should take around 30 or 40 minutes. Dr. Metzger has a great presentation prepared that will help prospective students like yourself learn more about your experience and help preview what may lay ahead for you in the MSN MBA program. Again, this event is being recorded, so whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend it with us. And I would encourage you, if you have any questions, please let us know. We are certainly more than happy to help. But before we go any further, Dr. Metzger, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, my name is Dr. Lori Metzger. I am a faculty member in the Department of Graduate Nursing. I have been teaching here every bit of 19 years. And so I've taught at the undergraduate level and the graduate level. Probably have been in graduate level now, I would say probably about 12 years or so. This program we're going to talk about tonight, MSN MBA, has been around for over 20 years in the department, but I've had it the last 10, believe it or not. So my background is I'm a nurse practitioner. I have a long background in cardiology. But I've been teaching here for a while now too. And so I just enjoy my students and my leadership and nursing management. A lot of it came by my experience. I've held positions of executive director, and I was CEO for a small hospital at one point. I started home health agencies, things like that. So I learned a lot along the way, not just all out of a book when it comes to nursing leadership. But I love teaching it with my students. That's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and it really is. It's the more I learn about the program, the more, I mean, it's a very interesting niche for this that seems to grow in popularity like it gets a little bit bigger every single year. So yeah, it's a great program. I think your background, Dr. Metzger, really lends itself to having successful graduates because you're not teaching things from what you have heard secondhand. It's like, no, this is what I used to do. So it probably is near and dear to your heart.
It really is. It's very well said, Tom. It really is. I really do enjoy it. When we'll talk about the 6 credit classes at the end that have a project with them. Those are my favorite. I mean, I really just enjoy those with my students. I'm like, this is a great project and I want to know how it's going and all those kinds of things. So I really do enjoy those things. My students do some amazing things, and I'm thrilled that I just get to know about them and be this little tiny part of them. So yeah, they are fun. I enjoy them.
So we can go ahead and kick off the presentation here. First question though is why the MSN MBA program? Why would a student want to go into this program? They're giving up some free time. They're going to have to put in a lot of work. What's in it for them?
Well, this is the question, why the MSN? We graduate, we work so hard on our bachelor's degree in nursing, and then why the MSN? And this is really to give us other opportunities in nursing, because I think this is, for myself, I always say it's the beauty of nursing. There are so many different roles that you can do in nursing, but you have to continue your education in order to have those opportunities to do that, whether you're going to be a case manager, whether you're going to be a nurse leader, or whether you're going to go on and join the C-suite as a chief nurse executive or something like that. You have to further your education in order to do that. That's what your job descriptions are going to require. And so why the MSN? It's just one of the best ideas to continue your experience in nursing and really grow and develop as a nurse. So I think that's the greatest reason for why the MSN. And we'll talk more about why the MSN with the MBA and our specific program here at Commonwealth. But I think that's the reason. There's nothing wrong with, being a bedside nurse all your career. I have friends that have been bedside nurses their entire career. They're incredible nurses. But that's not always what everyone wants. And other people want to go on and do other things. And this is the opportunity then to do that with your MSN.
Yeah, no, well said. And I think the nice part about nursing as a profession is the ability to upskill. And so for our programs here at Commonwealth and the Bryner School of Nursing, they're all built with working nurses in mind. And I know that's going to be a common thread here.
Absolutely.
The presentation here as we get into the presentation or the program overview.
Absolutely, built with a working nurse in mind. So I will tell you, out of my students in the MSN MBA program, probably 98% of them are working full time. And I say that from experience too. My master's degree, my PhD, I was working full time when I went back to school to get those things. So I know how that goes. So what we have done here is this delivery is 100% online. I do in this program, I have students that we're located here at Commonwealth University right in Pennsylvania, but I have students in various states across the country. And so you can do that because we are 100% online. The other thing is that we have these 6-week sessions. So for the core nursing and the specialty courses, you matriculate in what I call half semester, because sometimes in spring and fall are half semesters or 7 weeks instead of 6, but you get the idea. They're 6-week sessions. So it makes it so much easier to do 2 classes in 1 semester, but only focus on 1 class at a time. I think this is my students' favorite part about the program. It really is. That's what makes it so doable as a working nurse. I did not have that opportunity when I was going back to school, wish I would have, but I'm very glad that you do. So we've come a long way in that kind of thing. So the uniqueness of the program is that we do have 2 options. So if you want your Master's of Science Nursing degree in Nursing Administration, you can come and you can do that. It's 39 credits. We can go over here in the next slide or so how that's broken down, but it's 39 credits and you graduate with an MSN in Nursing Administration. But the beauty of this that I really like, and we're unique this way, if you look at programs across the country, believe it or not, we have a thing called an MBA option. And because so many of the business courses that we have are embedded in the nursing administration degree, you only need 5 more courses to get your MBA. And that means when you graduate, you have 2 degrees. You have an MSN in Nursing Administration and an MBA Master's in Business Administration. Both programs are accredited, as you can see here, with CCNA on the nursing side, AACSB on ASCSB on the business side. So you have really high quality programs that you can get a dual degree. It makes you a highly marketable future nurse leader for sure. Or maybe you're a current nurse leader. I do have students that are already like operations managers or frontline managers, and they want to continue to grow in that way. So they come back and get their degree. You can be in this program full-time. You can be in this program part-time. I would say the majority of my students are part-time because they are working. And you can certainly, if I have anyone listening to this, if you are in and finishing your BSN, you can move right into your MSN, just pass your boards and you're graduating, and we look for a GPA of 3.0 in your bachelor's area, no matter what, if you're just doing it now or years prior. And you can move right into the MSN. So I just had a couple of students just do this from our own program, our undergrad program. They graduated in May, they passed their boards in July, and in August, they were in the MSN MBA program. And they just wanted to keep going because they didn't want to stop their momentum and they were afraid. And I think we can all identify with that. So this is really what I like about the program. The 100% online, 6-week sessions, and that MBA option really makes it a very attractive program. And that's something we've developed over time, but I think it's been very favorable for our students.
Yeah, I think, among the things you talked about too, Dr. Metzger, there was the ability to enter the program right after completing your BSN and completing your boards, because it's going to take you a couple years to, probably at least a couple years to complete the degree. So,
Oh, yeah.
so you go right from your BSN into the MSN MBA or the MSN Nursing Administration. And while you're completing your degree, you're also completing, and getting a lot of the professional experience. So you don't run the risk of being over academic qualified, but under prepared. You're kind of doing them both at the same time. And I think we've been getting a lot more questions about that recently, and I'm not surprised. I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely. And there is flexibility in this program. I've done this with students many, many times. If you get to a busy semester and you say, wait, I just want to take 1 class this semester, just 1, because it's just really busy at work. I have a lot of things going and I want to pay attention to what I'm doing here and there and what. We just do that. That's the thing that can happen. So you take one class, you go down to 3 credits for that semester before you come back in and do the 2 or whatever. It has that flexibility to do that. I work that out with students all the time. And so you have the availability to do it at your pace.
And then that gets us into the curriculum for the nursing administration option.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. This is really how the coursework is designed. All of our students take these 9 credits, which is 3 classes, 3 credits each, of core nursing for advanced nursing education. So it doesn't matter if you're coming to Commonwealth Reiner School of Nursing for your nursing administration, your nurse practitioner, your nurse anesthesia degree, whatever it is, all of you take these core nursing classes. And there's one in role theory, one in research, one in epidemiology. And so you're really not in a interprofessional class, but it's what I call an interspecialty class. So you're all nurses in the class, but some of you are going to head off and be CRNAs, and some of you are going to be NPs, and some of you are going to be nurse managers, and some of you are going to be in informatics. And so we have all these different tracks. And so, but you all take those together. So it's nice to be in classes with all nurses, number one, but in nurses that have different interests in different areas. So that's the first part that you do. Then you step into your business courses. So whether you're going to get your MSN in nursing administration, or whether you're going to, from the beginning, you want that MBA option, you have these specialty courses that you take that are taught by our College of Business. So like I said, I've been a nurse manager in my past for a long time, but you do not want me teaching you accounting, okay? You don't. You want someone in accounting teaching you accounting, and that's exactly what we do. So we use the specialty for marketing, finance, law, accounting, management, all those departments that we have in our university. And we use their specialties, and they teach these 18 credits or 6 classes at 3 credits each. And all of these that I'm talking about are half semester classes or 6 weeks classes, and they're all online. If you want to do the MBA, then it's just 5 more classes, 15 credits, 5 more classes that you can go ahead. And when you are finished, you'll have a dual degree. So you do all of those classes, and then it comes to 12 credits of practicum, which is actually just 2 classes. But the classes now are going to be full semester, and they're going to be 6 credits each. And within that 6 credits, most of those credits, about 4 of those credits, are 180-hour practicums that you do. So you will go and find a preceptor. I'm happy to assist with that. I do it all the time, and we can talk. We got time to figure all this out because we take these as culminating classes. I make sure that wherever you want to go, that you have a contract. That's my job. I'll make sure that happens. If you're located within the state of Pennsylvania where the university is, we probably already have the contract, but you'll go ahead and do that. And there you will establish a project. You'll develop some objectives. I'll hold you accountable to those. We'll work through some course application and theory and classroom. But that again is all online. And then we will, you'll complete your project. But you do that in the first one, Nursing 513, and your second one, Nursing 533. And at the end, then you have 2 serious 180-hour projects that you can put on your resume and really clearly identify what you have done. And I think that is a huge resume builder, having done that work. And you get to apply all the information and knowledge that you have used in your business courses, in your MBA courses. You get to apply those in a real live project that you're working on with a healthcare organization. And I've had nurses do home health agencies, hospices, acute care, all sorts of different places. It doesn't always have to be, in one area. And so we've done a myriad of those practicums. Those are the ones those classes I really love. They're a lot of fun. So, but that's really how the program is structured. And I just want to break that down so that you know what you would be doing as you'd move through the program.
Yeah, I think the applied nature of those projects are so important. Again,
oh yeah,
students have taken a lot of theory in their BSN and undergrad courses. Like everything they're doing in this program is working towards building almost like a portfolio of work, not just learning the theory, but the applied work and building this portfolio so that when you go to the interview, it's like, I don't just have all these fancy degrees, look at my resume along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, yeah, those project classes are really where you get to put all of that in action for sure.
And then that gets us to the MSN MBA, the dual program curriculum.
Hmm. So these are the courses that I talked about. You will have courses in the even if you take the MSN Nursing Administration or you do take the MBA option, your courses will be from these departments: accounting, marketing, information technology, finance, law. What you can see is that it is a very well balanced program. The MBA really encompasses all of these different areas that gives you exposure to these kinds of things. And like, we really try to continually update the program. The marketing course, we have moved that marketing course from marketing management to marketing in the digital age, because that's where we're at. Our information technology courses have been updated using Power of BI, creating dashboards, those kinds of things, because that's really what you're currently doing and what you're doing. So we use a lot of those different programs. And again, you're being taught by experts in the field. So like I said, you really don't want me teaching you accounting. So nursing, looking at nursing, using nursing to look at accounting, but not. And so we use that, and it's really very wonderful for our students.
Yep, absolutely. They're gonna spend a lot of time in school, right? But it will be worth it. The ROI on these programs is going to be tremendously high. What are some of the career options that may be unlocked having had this degree?
So yeah, that's what we've listed here. I have nurses that have gone on for C-suite positions. I've had nurses that have gone on to be, right now, one of my graduates is the president or the chief nurse executive for the Pennsylvania State Nurses Association. I've had students that have actually, just as it worked out for them, they have taken maybe frontline positions or mid-level positions and just waiting for those other positions that they really want, like the associate vice president to come up and for them to do that. So they've taken all sorts of those positions. They've become directors of home health agencies and hospices and infusion companies. I've had a few become very entrepreneurial. And so I've had one or two students that have moved into national research companies, and they are directing that nursing arm, or they've joined the Center for Caring, and they developed modules in order to sell those kinds of things across the country, to use the Gene Watson theory across the country. So I've had some students really become and make this very entrepreneurial for them. They're still a nurse, they're still in the nursing world, but they've embraced it and stepped into the
Mhm.
to the business area. And so it's I'm hesitant whether I say it's unlimited, but I kind of think that it is, because you can do so much with it. Of course, I think as we're all nurses, whoever's listening to this and attending today, that that is nursing. You really can be a nurse in so many different areas.
Yeah, and just seeing the position titles and hearing you talk about your alumni, Dr. Metzger, it really underscores the importance too. Like, these are leadership positions, right? So when you cross
Absolutely.
the graduation stage and you assume roles like this, everyone's looking to you. So it's not just about getting the academic credential. It's about, no, like, you got to learn this stuff along the way, because eventually the training wheels are going to have to come off, and everyone's going to be looking to you to make these informed decisions. So like, there really is a lot at stake here. So really, again, underscores the importance of the way you approach the curriculum.
Absolutely. And you can, if you know for certain that there are certain positions that you want to achieve, I mean, you can direct your practicum projects that way, in order to grow and develop in those kinds of things. Students have done that. I've certainly seen that with I have a few nurses who have graduated being in the operating room. And that is a whole world unto itself. It seems like it's part of the hospital, and but it really is. It has so many moving parts. And they've developed as leaders, and they continue to develop as leaders, and they're the ones who are problem solving and making it better every day for the patient experience. And so, yeah, it really gives you a lot of options.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And then just from a high level overview, what does the job outlook look like?
Yeah, this is, we are about 4.5 million nurses in the United States now. But as you can see, now the median age is starting to come down a little bit, thank goodness. But, nurses are going to be retiring. And so, this is where our nurses who are coming from these BSN programs into the MSN program, I really tell most of my graduates, you don't have to worry about finding a job. And there is not a lot of majors or specialty tracks that can say those kinds of things in many other professions. But nursing can still say that. And I really think for a very long time, you're going to be able to say that kind of thing. And you can see, what your pay is very commensurate when you come out of your BSN programs. It's only going to increase in leadership roles because you're taking on more authority, you're taking more responsibility, and you will be paid for that kind of thing. So it makes you, this MSN MBA makes you highly marketable. I really just can't stress that enough. So many job positions will say, we want you to have an advanced degree in nursing, MBA strongly preferred. And this answers the question. Or if you're heading into more entrepreneurial area and they want a nurse and they say they want you to have your MBA, they might say advanced degree in nursing, strongly preferred. And so you're there, you have both. And that's what makes this program, I think, so valuable to the person coming through.
Yeah, and the projected growth to 17%, that's a humongous, figure. It might be, looking at it and seeing 17%, I think 17 is not a huge number, but that like generally single digits is a high demand area. When you get to the teens, that's humongous. So there's going to be a huge demand for these professionals in the future, especially as nurses and nursing become a huge part of our healthcare system in America. So it's a good time to be getting into this field.
Absolutely. They're the biggest portion of most healthcare organizations. You have more nurses than anything else. And when you have that many nurses, they need to have a voice at the table. So they need nursing leaders to represent them. And I just don't see that. I only see that growing. I don't see that going away.
Yeah.
We have more patients than we've ever had before. We have sicker patients than we've ever had before. And so, yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. And then that gets us to, again, I know you talked about some of your alumni, but here's a few additional examples.
Yeah. So yeah, these are some, and these are just a few different ones that we've tried to give you an idea of some of our alumni and where they're currently working. We have a number that are working in operations positions in ICUs, emergency rooms, ORs, across a lot of our healthcare systems in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, that type of area, because that's where most of our alumni are from, just because we're a Pennsylvania university. But we have them all over. Like I said, some are taking these national positions, working with national companies because we have availability now to work more readily in a remote setting. And so doing the online will also build your skill in that. That's kind of a little added perk in doing that kind of thing. But as a nurse practitioner, I used to work for a national company, and my headquarters was out of New Mexico. And so I worked remotely because I saw patients in my state where I was licensed. So the opportunities that you have here to do those kinds of things are just going to grow. And it's not all about inpatient. You can see I have one of our graduate is the department director for the neurology service line, and that includes outpatient care. And she's actually come back and actually done one or two precepting abilities with some of our other students to help them through their practicum projects and become a preceptor. So she's really given back as an alumni for those kinds of things. But these are just some ideas. Like I said, I hesitate to call it limitless, but I don't know why, because I think it really is. So yeah, they do amazing things.
Yeah. And then we get to the fun stuff, the application and admission process.
So the application process, I know there's a list here of these kinds of things or whatever, but I will give a shout out to Tom and his team. They're just incredible. They couldn't make this more fluid for you. So it's really it looks like a long list of things. It might look a little daunting. It's really not. So there is an online application. You do need your college transcripts. You need a copy of your license, which we already all have, for whatever state that you are in. Again, this program, you can be in any state. So if you're licensed in Illinois, that's absolutely fine. We're not going to give you a new nursing license at the end of this program. We're going to give you a diploma with your enhanced education in there. So you can be in any state. Everyone already has their CV or their resume describing that, so just update it. We do ask for a one-page typed page of your career goals, why you're applying to this program, what you want to do with this program, and just helps us understand who you are and what you're wanting to do and why you are seeking this type of program. And then we ask for 3 references, but only one of them has to do an actual formal letter. So the other 2 references, you'll give us their name, their address, contact information, their title, credentials, those kinds of things. So it's 3 references, but only one has to complete a recommendation form. And that kind of helps move our application process along a little bit better. And, just seems to be more appropriate for what we actually really need. We do look for a GPA of 3.0 or higher from your BSN for admission. But I will tell you, if you've been close to that 3.0, what we do is just do a provisional admission, meaning that, you go ahead and you sign on and you can begin the program. We'll just ask and we'll watch in the first couple of classes to make sure that you're ready to handle it. I realize that for some people, their BSN may be 10 years ago. And life was different 10 years ago. So I get that. And you may be approaching this whole graduate education with a different mindset and a different goal. So, sometimes I do have students come to me and say, maybe I should have, approached my undergraduate a little bit differently. And so if they're not meeting quite that 3.0 mark, there is a way to look at that. So if you're, hovering around there, I don't want you to be discouraged about applying. Go ahead and do that because there are ways to make that work for you. If you're willing to come on and do the work and, participate actively in your graduate education, you really wouldn't have any problems. So this application process is pretty smooth. You have me if you have any questions. You also have graduate admissions. Mrs. Hine is wonderful in answering questions for you. I depend on her a great deal. She never lets me down. So this is really a very smooth process that Mr. Kresh here has made for you. So yeah, it looks like a long list, but really you'd move through it pretty quickly. So.
Yeah, Mrs. Hines is my colleague, Rachel, who works in graduate admissions, who does tremendous work and is probably someone everyone will interact with at some point. She does amazing work, and she is frequently what we call the team MVP. So you'll probably be hearing from her at some point. Dr. Metzger, is there anything that you look for, like in your mind, what makes a good candidate? Are there any things that you really look for, or something, some qualifications that might not show up on a transcript, or like, well, I guess, what are you looking for?
I think someone this is a 54 credit program if you're doing MSN with the MBA option. So it is 54 credit. I don't think that anyone should ever look at it as though it's, like so much that I won't be able to complete it, because when you're doing the 6-week classes, they rack up pretty quickly. But I think to look for an applicant who is targeted. There is a reason they're coming back to school. This is not really, most of my students, this is not, they just thought this is a good idea, maybe I'll just sign up for this. They really are very targeted about what they want to do. They know that there are positions out there. There are mergers and acquisitions happening in healthcare all the time. They know that different opportunities are going to come forward for them. They want to improve their work-life balance. And that's hard to do when you are a bedside nurse. Bedside nursing is one of the most rewarding areas in nursing that there is, but it's also 8-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, days, evenings, nights, weekends, holidays, and it's hard sometimes to find that. So I think I look for the person who's really seriously considering how they want to approach this degree, what this degree is going to do for them, and what they're going to do with it as a professional nurse and as they move forward. So I do read those typed pages of career goals and what you're going to do, and I'll ask you those questions. Why are you applying to the program? So I really look for someone who has answers to those questions. They've really thought about what they want to do with it, because I think that gives you internal motivation going through the program and seeing how you can use those business courses and applying it even before you get to those practicum courses, how you're applying that and making that work for you and for the profession, really. And ultimately, we help a patient in the end. That's always our goal. So I guess that's one of the big things that I look for.
Yep, that's great. And we do accept applications for the summer, the fall, and the spring semester. So I guess we call that rolling admissions.
Absolutely, have a rolling admission, so you can start at any one of those times. And I interview throughout the year. So sometimes I have someone who's just, taking their time and putting everything together. They might interview in June in order to start in August. Or I'm just actually last week I spoke with someone and she said, I want to start in the summer, but she wanted to get all of this rolling and into place. And so we're doing that. That's fine. Absolutely, you can do that because that was just a time frame that worked for that individual. And we're happy to work with that.
Absolutely. And this is Dr. Metzger's contact information. And you've probably heard us say this before, we work for you and we're happy to do so. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know how much subject matter expertise I have in the world of nursing or nursing management, but any type of procedural questions, I'm happy to help as well. But Dr. Metzger is the main character here in this TV show. I know real quick before we sign off, I know Dr. Metzger, we do typically get some common questions I wanted to answer so that way those watching the recording may be
sure.
to get to that. One of those questions is typically, what is the difference between the bachelor's and undergraduate level coursework and master's level coursework? What can students expect, whether they're coming right out of their BSN and getting right in, or they're coming back to school from later, may have some hesitancy? What are some of the differences between their experiences?
That's a great question because there is a difference, and I do a little bit of orientation with my students that I have in some of the first classes. So I do teach one of those core courses. But when I have them in that one core course, I do give, Metzger's version of orientation to graduate school. So graduate school, number one, you are an online program. And most likely, most people in their undergraduate were not in an online program. So you do need to not be afraid to try things online, to try things. You're not going to hurt anything. You're not going to close a program down or anything like that. But you do need to understand where your resources are, use them to help you understand the program. Once you catch on to the different programs, learning management platforms, scheduling programs that we use, it's really not a big deal at all. But if you've been out of nursing for a while and you're coming back in, just know that that's a little bit of a learning curve. It will be a much faster curve than you could ever imagine, but you will understand it, and but you'll need to do that. So don't let that stop you. So number one, it's online. Number two, it is much more independent. So there are things that you have to do for yourself now. So we give you the information. We're always here to answer questions for you. We're always here to guide for you, but there are people approaching this at different speeds and different locations, and they're all kind of moving like that. So we are here to help and guide, but a lot of this is we give you the tools, and then you have to put them in place in order to facilitate your learning. That's a big difference than an undergraduate student. And I would say lastly, probably the thing that we do, we have fewer exams. Not to say that exams go away in graduate school, but that seemed to be the primary mode of you as a student communicating to us as faculty, your understanding of material was an exam. Not so much in graduate school. So in graduate school, there are other things. We ask you to do assignments. We might ask you to do projects. We might ask you to work with a teammate in order to complete a project. We might ask you to write a paper, do discussion boards, analyze a case study. So those kinds of things, there are more assignments that you really get a chance to express yourself and not just answer a multiple choice question. I can't say that exams go away, but there are fewer of them. So that learning is a little bit different. So if you are one of those learners that really speaks to you, boy, are you in the right place. If you're not, I would tell you, you need to spend a little time exploring that. You'll find that as an adult learner now with a lot of nursing knowledge behind you and you're extending that knowledge, it will speak to you more rapidly than you think, being that learner that doesn't always have to take a test.
What does the typical workload look like per week? You know, you mentioned an overwhelming majority of the students in the program are working. Um,
Mhm.
so let's say for a student who's taking maybe, I know the courses are taught in 6 week sessions. So if they're taking, 3 credits during that 6 week session, what does the workload look like, and how have you seen students balance their workload with the academic expectations?
There is some variability depending on what the course is and depending upon what your background is in, that kind of thing. So if you coming with a little bit more of a finance background, sometimes I have people coming, they took some business courses in undergrad, and then a
Mhm.
lot of my students didn't.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on the course. But with these 6 week sessions, you are able to balance things much more easily than if you had 2 courses stretched over the whole semester.
Yeah.
So in these 6 week sessions, you have a better balance between work, school, and heaven forbid nurses have a life, but we do. So in doing those kinds of things and balancing those kinds of things in a 3 credit class, really you can get it down to, depending upon the week and what you're doing, you can get it down to 5, 6 hours a week of what you're
Mhm.
putting into that. It depends how much reading you have. That might be a little bit more. Maybe one week is 5, 6 hours, the next week is 8 hours, but that's stretched out over a week. And so that makes it much more doable
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
for students, I think. And like I said, this is not always me speaking. My students would tell you that the 6 week classes worked for them a lot better. Because I have a
So
lot of students who have small children.
yes, right, and that's a good
Mhm.
point as well. So it
Yeah.
is possible to have a personal life, a professional life, and an academic life, and it sounds like basically every student is doing that in this program. For the students who may be seriously considering the dual MSN MBA program,
Mhm.
who they have a BSN. Maybe they took a
Yes.
couple of business classes as an undergraduate as electives, but certainly not an entire business core. What would you say to them if they're thinking, "Oh my goodness, how am I going to survive the MBA part of this? The nursing part I get. I work in this field as well, but the MBA is totally different to me. Am I going to be able to survive?"
Absolutely. You're further ahead than you think.
Yeah.
So if you are working inpatient nursing, you're already using some kind of documentation system
Mhm.
that has already drawn you into the information technology world. So if you think an information technology course part of the MBA is daunting, you're already doing it. If you're
Mhm.
using the Cerner database, if you're using Epic database, you are already using those things. You need to give yourself more credit for what you are already doing. You're further ahead than you think in those kinds of things. So I would say if you've had a few business courses in your undergrad, you have some experience already. And if you haven't had those courses, you have real life experience. You have been on committees for quality improvement. You have been on committees for retention and recruitment of nursing just by your work that you have done in your healthcare organization. You have more information and knowledge behind you than you think. And now we are just directing it into the MBA. I think for that person who is really interested in being a future nurse leader, these courses are going to speak to you. Absolutely. I really think it will become almost an innate kind of thing.
Yeah, and one of the things I will point out too, even for the just for like the if we had a student who's going to do just the MBA program, we will have a ton of students that enroll in our MBA program that have a
Oh
degree
yeah.
in
Mhm.
or communications. They won't go into the MSN part, but they'll enroll in the MBA without having a business discipline as an undergrad. The MBA program at our university is really built to meet the student where they are at and build on the skills and knowledge they've already acquired, as opposed to making them recite things that they may have learned as an undergrad. So yeah, that's a good point. I'm sorry, Dr. Metzger, did you have anything else to add there?
No, I was just going to say, we're using technology. in so many ways that it used to be healthcare was kind of set over here, and we had our own healthcare systems that we used. We had certain systems that only worked for healthcare and only worked for patient care. That, with every passing year, goes away. It just does. We have hospital systems, huge hospital systems that are using Google and AI and Microsoft and all these other kinds of things. And they're not just using whatever their documentation system is or their billing system is.
Mm-hmm.
They are using all of these kinds of things. And what we're doing in some of these courses for the MBA too, is we're saying, how can we extrapolate those pieces out there to work for whatever area you're going to be in? If you're going to run a construction company, that may be something different. But if you're going to be in healthcare, how can you use AI and how can you use BI and how can you use Microsoft Office and those kinds of things to work for your healthcare organization? You would be amazed how you can do that. I just have a student, she's in her senior year, she's finishing, she's in these practicum courses. And she said to me, just about 2 weeks ago, we were in a session, and she said, if you would have told me that I would have been able to use the power of BI and create a dashboard, I would have told you you're crazy. First of all, a year ago, I didn't know what the power of BI was. But she says, I just did it. She knows I just completed. I have 10 things on my dashboard for neurology. Like I have. So it really has a way of just, becoming so useful for what you're doing. And healthcare is not just this separate world anymore. It's too enmeshed and everything else going on. So it becomes very exciting.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Final question, Dr. Metzger, do you have any parting advice for the group before we sign off? And any final advice for someone who may be considering the program?
No, I say no, I don't really, but I think I do. That apply. I mean, find out more about it, really. I am happy to have a conversation with anybody. That's, a fun thing for me to do. I like meeting people and seeing what they're doing, where they're at. But sometimes, if you want a conversation, please just go ahead and give me a call or shoot an email to me or whatever. I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it, but ask and check it out and see if this is working for you. And sometimes we get students in that they start on one track because we have so many varied tracks, they jump to another track because it just, as they've really thought about graduate education and rethought it, they just kind of transfer to another track. And this happens. I have students that thought they were going to be a nurse practitioner. They were completely sold on it. Yeah. And, they call me and they say, I think the MSN MBA is a better choice for me. We have a conversation about it, try to give them some food for thought. And, they come back and they say, yeah, I want to switch and I want to do it, and I'm going to come over and get my MSN MBA. So I say, ask, and sleuth it out. You don't know until you try. So, I wouldn't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, the Briner School of Nursing has a it's a big ecosystem. So a lot of options when you get here. And honestly, you may have some students that decide, you know what, I want to stay and do a DNP. I enjoy Dr. Metzger's classes so much. I'm going to stay for my doctorate degree.
I do like when I get to see students. I do have some undergraduates and graduates, and they do come back and get their DNPs, and I enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our event for tonight. Dr. Metzger, thank you so much. We appreciate it. For anyone who's watching us live or watching the recording, we appreciate your time and we look forward to hearing from everybody in the future.
Thank you, Tom, for joining me tonight. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody.